Good morning, everybody. Amie Pederson here, business mentor and certified confidence coach. I wanted to come to you guys, sniffles and all. You'll have to excuse my allergies or cold or whatever is happening over here today. And I wanted to come to you guys and talk to you guys a little bit about where I started and how I got started and what led me where I am today. I used to before I ever had kids, it's kind of like everybody else says, like, you know how to be the perfect parents before you ever have kids, right? You do all these different things. You won't do all these different things. And, but one thing that I knew for sure is that at that time, I didn't want to leave my job. I had worked so hard to grow my business, or not my business, but to help grow this business and the other businesses that I was mentoring at the time, and I just loved it. I loved my career. I loved everything about it. Hey, Nicole. Um, so I always said when I have kids, like I can't leave. Like I've worked so hard. There's no way that I could just walk away from this. And what I've worked so hard to, obtain and learn and grow and become, I had become an executive and I had become, a mentor, and that was like my identity. And before I had kids, you don't think about how your identity can so quickly shift from being whatever it is your title is at your job or whatever. Maybe you always hear like with the military, like once a Marine, always a Marine. And while I definitely wasn't in quite that situation of like having a job that was quite as committed as being in the Marine Corps, I still had that identity. I still, like I had somebody once who I met and he said, "Oh, you're the Amie," because I I worked in a pretty male-dominated construction industry, and I was involved in a lot of big projects, so my name would be bounced around and it'd be like, "Oh, we have to get this information from Amie. We'll call Amie, blah, 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 blah." So when I finally met him, he was like, "Oh, you're the Amie that I keep hearing about." And I'll never forget that, but I thought that was super funny. But that had become my identity. Yeah, Nicole, I know that you could totally relate to this, because I know that you're out there busting your buns and, doing, growing a business too, like, and growing your babies and you're kicking ass at it. But when I finally did have kids, and I bet Nicole, you probably can relate to this too, that identity changed. It almost changed like in an instant. Like, oh yeah, like I had it all planned out. I'm gonna go on maternity leave. I'll still do a little bit of work from home. My assistant would bring things by. I'd take a look, blah, 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 blah. That was awful. I've never told anybody this really. That was awful. I I never took the time to turn off the work to really, and don't get me wrong, I totally enjoyed my time on maternity leave. I think I ended up taking like 4 months. Um, but I didn't just only focus on that. I didn't just only focus on being 100% present, because my identity was still being, a manager, being an executive, being in that workspace. And I didn't give myself the grace. I didn't give myself the ability to take the step back and be like, no, somebody else has to pick up these pieces. Somebody else has to do this for the time being. And, I had a severe case of employee mentality, like, well, if somebody else starts doing this, then, maybe they won't need me to come back or whatever. And, what does Nicole say over here? I defined myself by my career. I chose work over my family and kids when my youngest was a newborn. I was driven for success, then totally switched my priorities. Yeah, it's almost instantaneous when you can, like, when that switch happens, it's like it just like hits you like a ton of bricks. Like, what the hell am I doing? Like, and I had this job, and I sent out an email yesterday to the people who are on my email list, and it was kind of like, yeah, oh, sorry, I got all this snuffy nose stuff going on. And I totally just forgot my whole train of thought. That's super awesome. um, anyways, it'll come back to me, I swear. So yeah, you start to shift your priorities, definitely. And then it's like, okay, it was time to go back to work. And I was like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Like, I'd gotten all these referrals for like these high-end daycares. And there was one, you know, like I was like, I have to have one that has a camera so I can check on my kid and blah, 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 blah. And I talked myself into the idea that putting your kid in daycare is the normal thing to do and you'll be just fine. And, you know, like even like the girls who I was working with at the time, my assistant especially, she had had a baby just, we were all pregnant at the same time. It was like in the water or something, but she had just had a baby and she's like, you're gonna cry, and, you know, went through all that kind of stuff. And we couldn't keep him at the daycare because he got sick within the first week. Like the whole infant center had been closed down because somebody came in with some sort of sickness. And then Easton had developed like the reactive airway disease, where it's kind of like every time he gets sick, he goes into like an asthma attack kind of. So instantly I knew we had to make a shift. And it was actually my boss who suggested, you know, you should just get a nanny to come to your house and watch your kid, which made life so much easier. I didn't have to wake him up in the mornings if he was still sleeping. I didn't have to like drag him out. I didn't have to, even for me, I didn't have to get up that extra time that was early to drive him, you know, out of my way to that daycare and all that different stuff, right? So it was like the perfect situation. At least it looked like the perfect situation on paper, right? Like, you know, it's like, okay, you're living the dream. You've got the job, you've got the income, you've got the nanny who's amazing. And she's actually here today. Like she's like part of our family now. So I couldn't have, like, to be perfectly clear, I couldn't have asked for anybody else to come in and help take care of my kids, right? But at the end of the day, she still wasn't me. At the end of the day, I still felt awful. Like, unless maybe unless you're a mom and you've experienced it, you maybe don't quite understand what I'm talking about. But every single day, like if I was late coming home because I got stuck, you know, doing a business meeting or dealing with something, you know, that was out of my control, like I was at the county, or, you know, dealing with like legal stuff, or, you know, spending time with the lawyers or whatever it was that I was doing, sometimes maybe I'd get home at like 6 and I would feel twice as guilty. But every single day it was like, there was just like a little something like in me that was like, oh, like, and it sucked. And it sucked so bad. So probably the first year went by pretty fast. I was pretty busy, and I kept like convincing myself, like, this is what you got to do. You just got to get through it. Everything will be fine. You know, moms go back to work all the time. Like, be grateful for the job that you have, blah, 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 blah. And I am still very grateful for that job and the opportunity and everything that I learned from being in that position. But I still felt awful. It took me about a year to really get honest with myself. And then I finally had the conversation with my husband, like, I don't think I want to work here anymore. He's like, why? Did something happen? I was like, well, no, not exactly. I just kind of want to be home. And he's like, well, you can do that if you want to. He's like, you know, I'll support your decision, whatever. He's like, just make sure, like, for you that it's the right decision. And it took me pretty much a whole year of going back and forth with those emotions and that mom guilt and like, well, what will I do? Well, you know, and I had this vision like, oh, well, I'm a certified nutritionist. I'll go out and do something, you know, health coaching and something in the health field. And I was like, okay. And so all this back and forth, like basically like I was like living in like turmoil, like torturing myself with all the back and forth and all the feelings every single day when I had to leave my kid at home. And I finally just said, nope. When my husband and I decided that we were going to have another baby, you know, Easton, at first I thought I would never do it because I had such an awful pregnancy. And I was like, well, maybe it won't be so bad the second time. Maybe it'll be a girl or whatever, and everything will be different. That was not the case. It was actually worse. But nonetheless, like, we made the decision that we were going to have another baby so that Easton had a sibling to grow up with. And but before that, like, I was like, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to give notice. And my husband's like, you're already going to give notice? And I'm like, yep. I just have to, you know, and I developed a working relationship that the people who I work with, my employer, everybody, they're practically like family. So, you know, I'd been there for 13 years. So, well, 12 years at this time. And so I went in and I told my boss, it was like, the second week of January or something. And I was like, oh, so I'm giving my notice. And he's like, what? And I was like, well, we decided we're going to have another kid, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to give my notice, but I'm going to stay till the end of the year. And he's like, well, are you already pregnant? I was like, no, I'm not. But so that's what I did. My last day was December 15th. So I pretty much gave a year notice. And I know that's like not the normal. Nicole says, amen, sister. Just wait until you can't go to school field trips or volunteer in their classroom. That was the thing that changed it all for me. Yeah, like that would be hard for me because you have to ask permission. You have to ask permission to take the days off when your kids are sick, never mind to go do something fun like be on a field trip with them or whatever. That would be horrible. I can't even imagine that. So I'm glad that I've kind of shifted gears and set myself up in a way that that's not a situation for me anymore. And that's kind of what I wanted to come in here and talk to you guys about, that if you have this mom guilt and it's like weighing on your mind and in your heart and, just every part of you, that you're not alone. Like, I feel like it's super common. And if you don't have that, there's no shame in that either, like that's fine. But for me, I had it, and I just knew I had to do something different. So this year when I finally launched my business mentoring business, and I started implementing all the things and got automations going and got my email nurture sequences out there and the funnels and all the fun stuff, right? All that tech stuff that sounds super scary, because let me tell you, I was afraid of it myself. It's actually not so bad once you commit to it and dive in. But the neat thing is like, we went to Disneyland last month, and I was technically running my business from Disneyland. Like, things were still happening. People were still opting into my email list. People were still, getting information from me, like via my Facebook posts and different things. And my clients my clients had no idea that I was going to Disneyland until I told them. So my business didn't skip a beat, but we just decided, I think we decided on Wednesday that we were going to go to Disneyland on Sunday and Monday while we were in the area for a wedding that we went to on Saturday. But the cool thing about that is I didn't have to ask a boss. I didn't have to do anything. I just decided. And that feeling, the feeling of freedom that you can go do whatever you want with your kids, it's so vastly opposite of the feeling of mom guilt and having to go and leave your kids, even with a grandparent or the most amazing nanny ever or whatever. And that's something that I want to be able to help more women feel that freedom and feel that spark and feel that like, yeah, I get it. I get to do that. I get to have that. And I don't even have to feel guilty about it. That's like the even better part. Like, like sometimes you call in to work because your kid's sick and you have to take them to a doctor because they have this crazy wacky rule now at public schools, I guess, that like if your kid misses a day and you don't have a doctor's note, then it's an unexcused absence and all this other garbage, right? You can't just keep your kid home because they're sick and you're trying to do like a common courtesy to the rest of the school district, right? By not spreading the germs. So they have all these rules, right? And just like at work, there's all these rules. You only get so many days off. You only get, without feeling bad about like, hey, my kid's sick again, I have to go. Or like, hey, I have to leave early for this because, like even when you have a babysitter or a nanny or something, like sometimes they have things that come up too in their life, like they've got to see a doctor and they've got to, they get sick sometimes too. But I mean, the reality for them is the same as the reality for the rest of the world. Most businesses, the DMV and the doctor's offices and stuff, they're only open during, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 type of hours. And so sometimes it's like, oh, well, my babysitter needs me to come home early today because she's got a doctor's appointment of her own because, by the way, she's a human. And I never really had any problem with this, but I still felt bad asking about it. I still felt bad asking, like guilty, like asking to have this time off and all that kind of stuff. So so it's like a burden, like, and so I'm sure that a lot of you moms out there can relate to this, that it's like a burden. And it's so funny because now I have other moms who are reaching out to me, and I'm not, please don't get me wrong. If you love working your 9 to 5 job, you love getting out of the house, maybe your kids are older, or whatever your situation is, if that's what you love, there's no shame in that. Like, none at all. This was just my personal experience. This is just personally how I feel. And even like some of the ladies who I know who've reached out to me, like some are friends, some are family members. It's like, what can I do that I can like work from home and not have to, like, one of my girlfriends, she has to commute like an hour each way. And she's like, I just want to stay home, like, with my growing family. And I'm like, yeah. So we talked about a bunch of different options that were like right up her alley. But it's such like a hard thing. It's a scary thing to make that transition. It's a scary thing to make the shift. But the cool thing is like, a lot of the time you can start your business while you're still employed. You don't have to let it affect your job during the day at all. And it's a lot harder work. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot, because then you're juggling that little bit of time that you do have in the evenings and on the weekends with your kids and with your husband. But it's doable. It's totally doable. And then that freedom, because a lot of women who are in the online space, they start it as a quote unquote side hustle. And then they're all of a sudden, a few months in, 6 months, a year, whatever, they're like, oh, I've matched my corporate salary, or I've exceeded my corporate salary. See you later. And that's how their corporate, exit plan is accomplished. But the neat thing is, it's like, it's doable. It's so doable. And there's something about you, like maybe you already have like this thought in your head, like, I'm going to be a this, or I'm going to be a that. I'm going to be a VA. I'm going to be a health coach. I'm going to be part of an MLM because I seriously love these products and I can't live without them. Which is kind of like how I feel about like essential oils. Like, I love the essential oils and I can't live without them. And a lot of times people are like, that's what you should lead with. I love sharing about essential oils, but my passion is like the confidence coaching and the business mentoring, and really giving everybody the full package of what to do to expand their own business. So, excuse me. So while I get that, and that's one thing that I definitely teach people, is if you have to love it to lead with it. And it has to be a hell yes, otherwise it's a no, right? So with all of that being said, that's what I created the Recipe for Success for. That's what it's all about. It's a lot of stuff. It's such a robust, dynamic program. I like to say it's like your one-stop shopping. You get everything you need, not so much in like a box, because I feel like the way that I teach is like an outside of the box approach. It's more like one of those fancy gift bags, So the cool thing is it's like, you cover all the basics in there. You cover everything from mindset, like delivering and showing up and being so 100% confident in your business and in yourself and in your approach. And, like, you can then authentically and passionately lead your business, and then it feels easy and it feels fun. And you don't have to worry about like people thinking like, oh my God, she's like spamming me, or she's spamming this, or spamming my inbox or whatever. Like, I don't send you guys spammy messages, and I have had, $2,000 days. So, there's no reason to have to, that's like the outside the box thinking. Like, you don't have to do it the way that, that it was done 5 years ago. There's other ways to do it that are just as effective to grow your business. And then you can, then you're confident once you get like some of the automations and stuff set up, all that like little techie stuff. And it's easier to become confident because I'm going to give you all my templates. You don't even have to like start over if you don't want to. You don't have to recreate the wheel. You don't have to like rack your brain, because I'm just going to give you what I've already created. So anything that I've personally created, I'm just going to give it to you. And you guys can tweak it, adjust it, whatever, and use it to get started really, really easily and not have to spend all that extra time. Granted, I'm going to teach you guys how to start from scratch, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. You have those available resources to use for inspiration and guidance and get you going. Excuse me. My mom juice. And the neat thing about that is once you get these few little things, like into place, that means you put your business a little bit like on autopilot. When your business has like automated systems in place with like an email automation and a funnel or whatever, then you can go to Disneyland with your kids. Your business is still doing the work for you. You're still earning money while you're over there, you know, playing games and riding roller coasters and getting autographs from all the characters and watching the parade. Your business is still moving forward and you never miss a beat, you know, and that's amazing in itself, you know. And then the other part is too, you get to learn who it is that you're meant to work with. Like, excuse me, you hear about like, oh, your ideal client, your niche or your niche or whatever you want to call it, right? But once you really find that and you find like your tribe of women, it doesn't feel like work. And I know this sounds so super cliche, but it's exciting to show up and talk to your clients who are having like these amazing shifts in their mindset, these amazing victories in themselves, even more so than even the victories in, you know, in their financial success, because that's part of it too. But overcoming all those fears and self-doubts and all the different things that were holding them back originally and seeing them break through that, that's incredible. And when you get surrounded by these women and that tribe and everybody's uplifting each other, there's something kind of magic about that. Like the feeling is just like magical. So I don't know, I don't really know exactly how to describe it. Like maybe you've been part of like a sports team or a dance team or a cheer team or something growing up, and you just had like the best season, the best year. Everybody was amazing. Everybody was like best friends. That's what it gets to feel like. But as you grow your business, it's not about competition of like, well, she did this a little bit better and she might take my customer this or that. There's none of that. And you get to choose to work in that way. So when you do that, you get to pretty much hand select who you work with. And there's some like serious like power in that, because think about like, we've all had crappy coworkers at one point at least, right? Where you're like, man, I can't stand to even like deal with this person and their drama and blah, 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 blah. Well, when you own your own business and you set your own schedule and you set, you know, select your own clients, you don't have to. And that's what's so amazing. Like, I don't feel called to have to work with anybody who I feel is like an energy vampire. I don't feel like I have to work with anybody who isn't anything but the perfect fit of being empowered and empowering other women and ready to just up-level her whole entire life. And that's where I'm at with it. Like, it's super, 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 I don't know, there's just something wonderful about it. But on the flip side, like, you guys can see, like, oh, it's over this shoulder. Sorry, everything's backwards. Like, I have like little like toys and different things on the floor. Like behind me, over here, it's like I have a little table set up for my kids. Like, that's what I get to do. And then, like, you know, on whenever we decide, like if it's any random weekend, we just pick up and go to the beach. We can just pick up and go to the park. We can just pick up and go to the zoo, because that's what I want to do that day, or that's what they want to do. Like, yes, if I have an appointment with my clients, we still have the appointment and then we go after. Or bless her heart, one of my clients, she went on the freaking hour ride and the hour it took for her to find a place to park one time going to the beach on a busy weekend. And, you know, we went through all of the stuff that needed to be gone through on the ride down there. And so on my ride to the beach, I got to work with the paying client. She got to have a great call. She got to get some of her stuff situated and sorted out. And, you know, the call was progress and it was productive. But I also was going to the beach. Like, it was no big deal. And I even told her, like, oh, we're on our way to the beach this morning. Like, how are you? And, you know, she didn't think anything of it. She's, oh, I wish I was going to the beach too with you guys, like, type of thing. But that's my real life, you guys. Like, that's how it gets to be. Like, the same poor girl, bless her heart. One day I was driving to Vegas. Well, I wasn't driving. My husband was driving. And we had a call. I'm taking notes. We're talking, you know, earbuds in, all that good stuff. And, you know, it was like, oh, we'll have a nice time in Vegas. She wasn't like, how dare you call me while you're in the car? Like, shouldn't think anything of it. She got the exact same call she would have had if I was sitting right here in this office. So that's what's kind of cool. I feel like I'm getting a little bit ranty on that. But basically, you know, it's like I put this package together. So not only could you show up every day on your own terms, on your own schedule, you could show up with your baby. I mean, my kids have been in my videos too. You've definitely seen them on the Moms Making Money show even. But that's my choice. Like, I couldn't just always bring my kids to work if I didn't want to. I'm sure most of you can relate to that, especially depending on what you do for a living. But I have mindset stuff interwoven throughout this entire program. So that way you can show up just like this, 100% confident in your message, 100% confident in your ability, 100% confident in whatever it is that you do, whether it's selling something, training somebody on something, sharing a service, sharing whatever that is, right? You can show up and do that 100% confidently and from a place like of true passion in your heart. The other stuff is you get to pick your ideal client. You get to say, these are who I want to work with. I want to work with moms who want to be home with their kids. I want to work with like visionary women who are ready to up-level their lives. Maybe, you know, maybe you sell a product, maybe it's essential oils or something. You're like, I want to work with moms to help them get their homes healthier, to get toxins out of their home. Whatever your message is, that's awesome. And you get to own that. You get to work with the women who want to work with you back and be unavailable for anybody who doesn't. And that's it. I mean, and once you get to this space, this confident space of sharing, and, you know, people then start magnetizing to you. And so with that, with learning all the techie stuff, I just kind of bundle it up as techie stuff because that's what I call it in real life. The funnels, the automations, the CRM, all of that stuff, you can help. It helps put your business so that your business is working for you. Your business is on autopilot. You put out something and people sign up for it while you're sleeping, while you're at Disneyland with your kids, while you're out doing all the things that you want to do. Your business is still working. Your business is still bringing in money. So you can check your phone later and be like, oh, look, I have somebody who wants to sign up for the Recipe for Success today. Or, oh, look, I have somebody who just signed up for it and they paid in full. That's how it gets to be, you guys. And I'm sharing that because I know what it's like to feel like you're stuck. You know, I had so many people tell me like, oh my God, you're going to leave your job. You have such a good job. Like, you have such a good thing going. How could you leave it? Like, what are you thinking? And for me, I was like, yeah, I do have a great job. It is a good thing, but I wanted more from my life. I wanted more than just, you know, showing up for a paycheck. I wanted to have the moments. I wanted to have the quality time with my kids. I wanted to have the freedom. And, you know, there were many times when I went on vacation and I took my work computer with me, and I would work on my vacations before we went out and did something fun. I would check my emails. I would check in on different things, and I would do the work before I was actually on vacation. Now I just go on vacation. If I want to pop into my free community and share a message or share, you know, a True Talk Tuesday or something with the girlies, I do it because I want to, not because I have to. And that's something that's super cool, is having that freedom to, one, earn an income. I get to charge, you know, money that I feel that I'm worth. I get to price out my programs because I feel like that's the value of the program. Not because, you know, the statistics say that somebody in this position with this title should make this much money. None of that. I don't have to wait for a raise. Like, I don't have to think about, like, do I get the 2% raise this year, or do I get to, you know, do I get an actual merit increase? Like, that type of stuff. I don't have to think about any of that stuff anymore. I don't have to ask permission to go to Disneyland. I just get in my car, fill it up with gas, because usually I need to get gas, and I go. And that's it. And in the meantime, my business is working in the background. My business is continuing to grow. People are continuing to join my community. People are continuing to follow me on Facebook. People are continuing to follow me on Instagram. And that, to me, feels so good. It feels good to show up and talk to you guys here on the video. It feels good. Even though, like I shared, you know, like, mom guilt is kind of a vulnerable thing. I don't have any shame that was part of my journey and part of my evolution. It's a real thing, and it happens. It happens to a lot of moms who have to go back to work after they have kids. Some people don't have a choice. Some people want to. That's fine. It's all part of it. It's part of everybody's unique journey. But for me, I knew that I had the ability to create something that not only helped me live out my desires and the lifestyle that I wanted to have, but it also helps other women do the same thing. So if the recipe for success or starting your own business and being able to work and earn money from Disneyland is something that interests you, check out the link above, sign up, or send me a message if you have any questions at all. You can send me a message on my business page. It's kind of wacky how it works, so you can also shoot me a message on my personal page too. Either way is fine. If you have any questions, there's a link right on the inside the information page that's posted above, so you can even click, you know, hey, I need more information. Or if you're ready to just start like, yeah, I need to get in on this, the price is going up tomorrow. So if you click on the link on Saturday, the price will be higher. Just so you know, tomorrow is a firm deadline, it's going up. And so that's that with the price. And it'll still be like an early bird special with like the founders pricing and getting everything recorded live, and you get to participate in all the live calls and all the live trainings over the 12 weeks. You'll also have all the edited recordings and videos broken down into their individual modules for a lifetime. So anytime you need to come back to something, or anytime I update something, you'll get the updates. So basically it's like I said, it's a hugely robust program. If you bought this program with like each week of stuff individually, you'll probably pay like $12,000 to $15,000. So I'm offering it, you know, like I said, founders pricing at like a ridiculously low rate, like a fraction of that, like a fraction. So it's kind of a no-brainer to get in. And I already know that this is going to sell out. I already know that the retreat to Cabo is going to sell out. So definitely make sure you get in on this, because again, the price is going up at midnight tomorrow. So by Saturday morning, the price will be higher. And that's all I have for you guys. So if you have any questions, please, please, please let me know. And the program's going to kick off the first week of June, so it's going to be here pretty quickly. So I definitely would love to have you in there. If, you know, getting rid of your mom guilt, or at least getting closer to getting rid of your mom guilt, is something that you think about and something that is important to you, and you have a vision of where you want to take your life. Maybe it's being a life coach. Maybe it's really expanding, you know, your essential oils business, or any other type of network marketing business, or you want to be a business coach, or you want to be a confidence coach, and how to grow that, and how to make it profitable, and how to make it real. So that's all I have for you guys today. Speaking of essential oils, I've got to go turn some on until I can finish getting rid of these sniffles. And I don't think I've had quite enough coffee yet today, so I'm going to have some more of that. And so that's everything I have, you guys. If you have any questions, please, please feel free to let me know, and I'm happy to answer those for you. Otherwise, I'll see you guys inside the Recipe for Success. Have a great day.